Hey, actor friends, this is Michael Kostroff. You know, I've talked in the past a number of times about uh, urging you all to slow down when you're preparing an audition, slow down when you're preparing a role. Um, I'm the more I teach and the more I coach, the more I find that that is really important. People seem to be in such a rush to get to a performance. Um, I've never done that, of course, never, except every time. Um, that we rush right to a performance and often miss crucial information. This is why I read everything that's scratched out. This is why I read the stage directions. And when I say read them, I really read them slowly and carefully. The stage directions is valuable real estate. Writers typically try to keep them on the brief side, so the words that they choose mean something. Um, and the thing I'd like to add to that conversation today is my hatred of the word obviously. It's one of those bleep words that like it catches my ear whenever I'm coaching somebody and they say, well, obviously this woman wants the job. I'm like, hang on just a second. We just sat down, we just started working on this. Let's hold off on calling anything obvious. Unless, I always say, if you could prove it in a court of law using only the sides, then you're good to go. If you could prove it, I always start my students off with what I call the duh. What is the duh? The most dull, obvious, you could prove it in a court of law version of what happens in the scene. You've got to start there as a base level, because very often, even that's wrong. They'll say, well, the basic thing that's happening is, I'm applying for a job. And I'm like, okay, but when you start the scene, you don't know that the job's available. So what are you doing then? Let's make sure that we really, really have a clear idea of what's happening. Sometimes your intention changes in the middle of the scene, or you don't arrive at it until you get information. So I want to know, like, what's happening at the beginning, which, and what are the actual facts of the scene. And then every time you hear yourself say obviously, I want you to vet that and go, well, is it obvious? Is it definitely the only? This is the problem. Obviously cuts out other choices. That's what it is. I just realized it while talking to you. When you say, well, obviously she's a bitch. Well, that cuts out a lot of other choices. Like, she probably doesn't think of herself that way. And, we've talked about that in the past as well. But, obviously these guys are very close. Well, are they? Let's find out. Let's take a minute and find out. So that's all. I'm making another commercial for slowing down. Slow down in your analysis of the scene. It will save you time later. If you say, well, I just have a one-night turnaround, I challenge you, take 10, 15 minutes before you make any decisions and just look at what's on the page. Look at what's on the page. Don't miss any of the information. So often I say, okay, I hear your choice, but what about this stage direction right before your line? And people go, oh, yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. We want to slow you down. And I'm not saying that nothing is obvious. I'm just saying be very, very hesitant. Tap the brakes before you plant that flag and go, that's the choice. This is an obvious situation. This is definitely this. That's my message for the week. Obviously, that's all I have to say. No, that's not obvious. Also, I'm never out of things to say. So talk to me. Tell me what you think about that. And, just if nothing else, just please keep reminding yourself to slow the hell down. Read your stage directions, really dive in, read your lines, really dive into exactly. But by the way, that's another thing people miss. They're saying the words, but they miss the fact that some of the things that they've said and what they mean. And if they don't go with your choice, you can't prove it in a court of law. So you got to slow down and make it all line up. I often think of it like a chiropractic adjustment. The whole spine of the scene has to line up. If your choice doesn't work with all of that all the way through, then it's wrong. Or choices, I should say. If your choices don't work all the way through. That's it. I'll talk to you next week. Tell me your thoughts. I look forward to them. All right, bye.